some people say you come to this to celebrate the great work. I come to get angry.
That's how you judge the good work, right?
Yes.
When you feel something inside that is like,
Yeah, why didn't we do this?
Yeah,
We could have
exactly.
done something like this with the client. Why didn't we
It's
push
not
a little
that
harder?
complicated, right?
That's right. And then I come back, and then I'm a royal terror to everyone I work with.
I think social media is evolving, okay? I like the ideas that are not just a social post or, an opportunity and then, generate conversation. I think the ideas that I like so far are the ideas that are interacting with people, right? So they offer something, to the people. The people digest the ideas, and then continue the interaction with the brands. I don't think that the brands needs to serve everything. Here's the idea. Just have fun with the idea. I think what I really like about social media right now is how people get the idea, own the idea, and interact in terms of comment and how they make the idea bigger today. What about yours?
I find what's interesting is that maybe 5-10 years ago, integrated was where anything that was more than one channel, you shoved everything in there. And so it used to be, because I think before we had robust social and activation and experiential, if it didn't fit into one single thing, you always stuck it in integrated.
Yeah.
I think what we're finding this year is very interesting is now that there are all these other categories that can recognize work that doesn't fit into one little box, we're being much more rigorous about the kind of description of the category. So really, it's not just a great idea that is across 3 touch points. We're challenging ourselves to say, but does the idea strengthen by its connection to the other channels, as opposed to just, is it a great idea that's done a bunch of ways?
Right.
So
do you have any examples that you've seen lately?
I think the jury
Something
very
that
much
you
likes
really
the
like?
Dramamine idea, because there's there's a great insight. The barf bag. There's some craft. There's an experience. There's a documentary. So it's kind of well told through multiple touch points. So that's on one end of it that I think represents maybe the more modern style. Then on the other, we like the Nike winning isn't for everyone, and that would be, I would say, a very traditional integrated idea, because it's print-like objects out of home, video, TV, but it's so damn good. And it's so good in print, and it's so good on TV. So on one hand, it's like, that's an integrated, great idea. And then the other one is an integrated great idea, but they're one is a little bit more traditional and the other one is a little more modern.
In our category, I saw the Alcaraz idea. I don't know if you're familiar with that one. Netflix, to promote.
Yes, the signing.
His show, the sign. I like that because they took a cultural moment, and they took advantage of that moment. It's not a social post. It's not something that was born in social necessarily, and I like that. I think that's a fantastic moment in where you see how people interact with the idea is what I really like, and they kept the attention that today, to keep that the people's attention is really hard, for longer term. So it's not a peak, it's not just 24 hours viral post. So it's more about the relationship with your fandoms, for longer, So I really like that idea. I think they did a fantastic job. I don't know how, if we are going to give an award to that. Hopefully, yes. But it doesn't depend on me.
It's getting an award right now with you
There
shouting
you
it out.
There you go.
You could put that in the pocket and give it to whoever did it. The other one, by the way, we have in our group is also experiential, which is interesting too, because I think maybe in the past that would much more favor in real life, but obviously we've got experiential. There's a digital component and then also a real life component, and I think that one is going to be a very lively debate today, because if you have an idea that takes place inside of a digital platform, is that an experience of the same
Right.
weight and value as a VR experience or an actual tangible one. And I think we'll get into that
Totally.
today. And I think it'll be it will be a lively conversation because I know we have a lot of opinions.
How was it? Did you see a lot of technology in your category?
Mostly.
Mostly.
I feel like experiential is definitely playing with the AR and the digital technology more than I'm seeing real life experiences or activations. I think it's probably easier to scale and maybe a little bit cheaper to pull off.
Probably. Yeah.
Probably.
What is in terms of AI? Did you see anything interesting about that? Because I'm having a hard time. How people use AI. Today.
Yes.
I don't think it's creative enough yet.
Yes.
I've seen a couple of ideas that are pretty good in terms
Yeah.
of AI, how they use it, and actually what I really like about AI is not the way agencies use it, is how they give the tool to the people, to interact with the brand. I think those are the best ideas. But what
Yeah.
about in your categories?
I don't feel like we're seeing a ton of things that are. I'm sure a lot of the work is using AI, but thankfully, I feel like I'm not seeing a lot of case studies
Good.
that are making AI a part of how they sell
Right.
the idea
Yeah.
to the jury, to the audience. I think maybe a couple of years ago, maybe a case or a story about work would be strengthened by leveraging AI. I think today, everything's AI.
Yeah,
So
everything is AI,
so I think people have gotten wise to trying to oversell it at the front. But there's a couple ideas that I think feel like they're powered by AI that wouldn't be possible without the technology. But then there's still some that are just using AI to generate way too much crap that people don't want to see. I don't think there's anything we're seeing in experiential and integrated that's too much of. But I will say I'm happy that we are not completely consumed with purpose the way we have been. I feel like we've been seeing really good creativity that is really about making products or services more interesting and exciting for consumers. I'm seeing more humor. I'm seeing more selling because there are some brands that deserve and have a right to play in the purpose space. You look at Dove. You look at the investment they make year after year after year in body confidence for young women. Like, great, they are a purpose brand, but other brands like Pepsi are selling cola, and that's great because that's what we do. So I'm happy to see creativity driving commerce because it was getting a little overdone
Totally.
with the humanity for the spaghetti sauce
100%.
brand.
You mentioned the humor. I noticed I didn't see a lot of really good humor, to be honest, and I think it's a little sad, in my opinion. I think people are afraid, or clients are afraid about humor in general. I don't know if you noticed that. It's maybe it's too personal. I love
Yeah.
humor. I think it's a very powerful tool, in communication,
Yeah.
to connect with people. And today is hard.
Yeah.
You don't want to offend anyone.
Yeah.
But I didn't see anything amazing in terms of humor.
Hmm.
It used to be.
Interesting.
10 years ago. I don't know if you noticed that or not.
No, we saw some stuff that was pretty funny. Thankfully.
That's good.
I mean, usually I feel like film is probably where the comedy really lives. Someone told me once that, clients, when we talk about work that is emotional, that always leads to work that is a bit profound, dramatic,
Right.
humanity-based, but a joy, a laugh, eliciting humor or a humorous response is also an emotion.
Right.
We just don't think of it that way. To make someone happy with something silly, funny, self-aware. But yeah, I'm happy to see it back in ours, and I bet you film should have some funny ones this year.
Probably in film. Yeah.
I think actually our jury is so far, the way the one show does it is you quietly vote the second round so that it
Right.
really is you're not influenced, and then you talk. We have been abiding by the rules. We have been quite quiet, but I can just tell in the break that we have very strong personalities in ours. So someone's going to get in a fight. I don't know if it'll turn physical, but someone's going to get in a fight about something.
Hopefully not physical, but
No, but I don't know. But if you bring the cameras, it could be good content
Just
for the One Club
have
social
your
channels.
phone prepared.
That's
in
right.
case it gets physical. It's not clear yet on social media, to be honest. I think it's going to be very interesting. The third day, we are going to have a lot of discussion. So probably the discussion is going to be more there, hopefully. I think it's going to be very important to align with all the judges, in what is the message that we are going to send to the industry. It's not clear yet. As I said, we have really good contenders, but let's see how it evolves.
The other thing, I mean, that's one thing we're talking about in our jury quite a bit is, today we really have to continue making the case for clients working with great agencies, great creative talent. I mean, that's the purpose of the One Club, is for the real support behind the creative community. And so I think it is so important that ultimately we are rewarding the work that is both creatively, executionally, idea-wise brilliant, but that is driving commerce, that is stuff that real consumers see. I think that feels
important.
like the kind of work we're seeing bubble up. But if we're not putting brilliant work forward that's driving business, then creativity is a hobby. So it's not. So I think we'll be very serious about that ourselves too. It's got to be the real client investment and real consumer response.
That is a great answer. This is for you.
I got that?
Yeah,
I earned it? Thank
you
you.
got that.
That's what I was trying to do.
So, no, I agree with you. I think, at the end of the day, we are driving sales here, and I think that's very important for the clients. Actually, in commerce, I seen a lot. I saw a lot of really good ideas, and I'm glad that we have those type of ideas in the reel. Hopefully, we can include those ideas in the reel. So, and talking about the show, what do you think about the one show in your experience? What is your
I mean,
festival?
I feel like my old boss David Lubars said it. I remember being once in the audience of the one show as a mid-level creative, and he came up and he was presenting a category, and he said, a good thing about being here at the one show is, winning pencils is a good way to track how you're doing in your career. And I remember sitting there in the audience and going like, fuck, I got to win these every year. But I always feel, it's a great show. There's a good amount of categories. So you really, if you are an ambitious creative, I think every year, no matter where you work, no matter the size of your budget, I think you can put something forward that will get its time in front of a jury here. And I think I'm just so behind the One Club's mission to support creative people, because I do think we are in a moment where there's just not enough value given to what we bring to brands, and so I think for that reason I'm extra passionate about this year's show.
I agree with you. This is a great show. I think every serious creative should have at least one of these pencils in their careers. I told the guys, the judges, at the beginning, the first day, we need to be, it's our responsibility, to build this reel in a serious way, because I think this show is that important, it's a show that is dictating, what's next. I know then we have another really good festivals and very strong festivals, but this one is hard, right? But it's more friendly. I think it's I don't know if we understand the friendly meaning, here.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the idea of the community behind the creativity. So this is one of my favorite shows for sure.